What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Friday night? Must be the Friday Night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing out there? Looks like we got Brian already in the chat. Says, hello, Richie. Just wanted to chime in and say hello before I fall to rest. I will listen in the morning. That is perfectly acceptable. We got Izzy. We got Trudeau Survivor. We got Nevada in the chat. Good to see everybody. All right. All right, so let's get to the menu, see what we're going to talk about tonight. Then we shall come back and deal with all of the degenerates in the chat, and then come back and do the stories in detail. How about that? What do you think, everybody? Should we do it? Let's do it. All right, first off, Germany. Have they lost nothing? German bill would ban home purchases for people with the wrong political views. Yeah. I don't know. It feels, I don't know, this whole, oppressing people for the wrong political views thing in Germany. I kind of feel like I've heard this story before. We're going to go through that. They're doing a lot of stuff that's very dystopian over there. Of course, we're going to cover the latest floor crosser, Marilyn Gladue in Canada. So Mark Carney's getting his majority government. It's, still kind of a shaky majority, but it's a majority. One more conservative. So it's 5 in total that Carney has bribed. Somehow convinced to go over to the Liberal Party. 4 conservatives, 1 NDP. So look, this latest one is as the Liberals, I talked to a Liberal friend of mine who's not happy about this because they consider Marilyn Gladue to be basically Mrs. Hitler. She's actually really just kind of a centrist conservative, but to them, everybody's about to annex, the Sudetenland. So basically what we're witnessing here is Mark Carney just buying a majority. This has never happened before when you've had a minority government become a majority government through floor crossers, and there's so many of them. This is the most that we've seen. It's normally just an occasional thing. This is just a rush in just the course of months. Like the last time something like this happened was 1917. So that tells you all you need to know. And there was a conscription crisis going on. Something is going on. Something is wrong. This thing just stinks. This lady stinks. We're going to get into it. But yeah, Canada's democracy up for sale, apparently, and sold. Sold. She's got to put that she got to put that sold sign up on her lawn. RFK Jr. is he's saying here, coming soon, the Secretary Kennedy podcast. This is what politicians are going to have to do in the future. Certainly, not, any right-wing conservative, remotely conservative, anybody sane is going to have to just do this stuff because the media will either not report on them or they will report something that's biased and tainted. So they're just going to have to do this. I think it's a good thing, and I'd like to see more of it, quite frankly, because the media it's shown its cards, right? Like, we know where they stand now. In New York, let's see, New York City voters got played because guess what? Those free buses not coming anytime soon. Fare required, still required. Oh, it's so disappointing. It's so sad. Tim Burchett. So he's running Doge now, and I like him. I like him. He's no nonsense, and he's just saying it like it is. And will he be able to do any better of a job? I don't know. But I like the fact that he's not pussyfooting around it. And so we'll get into that. What do we got here? So here we're going to have a shout out to independent media in Canada, Moose on the Loose. So I've shouted out many times on this channel, this coverage of Carney and his chart of all of Carney's conflicts of interest. And here's chair of the ethics committee giving a shout out to Moose on the Loose. I'd like to see more of this. We'll take a look at just how well the mainstream media covers all the conflicts of interest from Carney, and yeah, not very well. So people like Moose on the Loose are needed. Hold on, what have we got? Woke mind virus. So what do we have? Oh God, good Lord. Okay, so yeah, Canada's famous again. Canada's gone viral again because of MMIWG2SL GBTQQIA plus. There's still I thought they would have figured them all out by now. Yeah, Canada is a joke at this point, and a national joke, an international joke, actually. We're going to get into that a little bit. And where was the... Hold on a second. Let me just refresh this. Because there was something else that we really wanted to see, and where was it? There's a JD Vance meme on this. Oh, you know where I think it is. Hold on one second. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Don't worry. Okay, so we're gonna get to that. But what do we got? We've got this story of a guy who was canceled in the big giant, moral panic, the initial cancel culture, and we're going to talk about that. We've got this guy here. California State Senator Scott Wiener stood there fidgeting, playing with his mouth while a 23-year-old gay man testified he was pushed into medical transition as a child. This is so weird watching this. Like, is he uncomfortable? Is he just figuring out which slogan to spout next? It's weird. It really gives you a bit of an insight into the mind of these people. What do we got here? Oh, so hold on. Back to Germany for a little bit. Germany's weird. Germany has a new gender recognition law, which is totally insane. We will get into that. We have Woke Canada. There's the there we are, the new acronym, the new very long acronym, and it's now gone viral. We're world famously idiotic again. Of course, here's a JD Vance meme and a spelling bee trying to get the MMI. You get the thing. Yeah. So that's Canada. That's Canada. It's just one thing after another. Then we've got the last tab of the evening, which is lots of crazy stuff, lots of fun stuff that you guys sent in. We'll go over that. There's some political stuff. There's a lot of just fun stuff. We'd like to end off the stream with a bunch of fun stuff, funny stuff. And there's a little politics in there, too, that just didn't fit into any of the other parts of the show. Now, I'm going to ask anybody watching on YouTube, please go to my second channel. We're now, 315 subscribers away from this channel getting fully monetized. This is about 7 months old. Please go there. All the clip videos. So if you missed anything in the live stream, I clean up the clips. I make them far more digestible, and I'll put them on this channel. So and it's going pretty well so far. So please go and subscribe over here. The channel you're watching right now is just live streams and nothing else. Everything else is now on Radio Baloney News. Thank you very much. All right, let's get to the chat. So as everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, and on Locals. And when you like the stream, you get good karma. But when you're early, you get extra good karma. So who's cashing in today? Izzy got number one. That's 6 good karmas right there. Boom. So easy. Nevada 4. So that would be 6, 5, 4, 3. 3 good karmas. Boom. I think I counted the right number of fingers. Let's see. Anybody else in here? Jamis got number 5. So that's like 2 good karmas, I think. And then Ottawa's like number 6. That's like 1.5 good karmas. No, 1.35. No, 1.75. Boom. Done. Everybody's so happy. Rosie got 7. That's 1.25 good karmas. Boom. No, 1.5. There we go. That's better. Everybody's getting good karma. Nobody needs to worry. Nobody needs to stress it out. You've got your good karma now. Nothing bad can happen to you. All right, so what are you guys chatting about here? What are you degenerates talking about? God damn it, Trudeau Survivor. No, I did not kick the dog. It was an accident. He sits by me when I'm streaming sometimes. I've tried to explain this so many times. He likes the dog, Mr. Snacks, likes to sit next to me while I'm streaming sometimes. And once I moved my foot and it accidentally touched him, and he looked at me like I tried to murder him. And my foot just moved is all. It just barely touched him. Did not kick my dog. Boo. No. Shut up. Nevada's coming live with one bar on the Android. Uh-oh. Well, you got to sort that out, my friend. We're not going to do any Link Monkey stuff quite yet. We're going to do that later. Let's see. Dramus. Okay, we already got Dramus with number 5. Izzy says, we're all oppressed here in Canada, or is that depressed? Depressing, maybe? Oppressed and depressed. I think it's getting more depressing, quite frankly. All right, hold on a sec. James, how you doing? Sending a like on YouTube. Thank you so much, sir. All right. Travis says Canada needs to be saved by the USA. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, I'm afraid. Canada needs to save itself is what needs to happen. Not going to happen anytime soon. I think Canada needs to hit rock bottom at this point. That's just what I've decided. Canada needs to hit rock bottom. And nothing good is going to happen till then. Spambot, how you doing? Says didn't get notified. Like number 8. Well, I don't know. I don't know about this notification business. Like number 8. That's 1.15 good karmas. Boom. All right. First like on X. Well, that's 6. So that's at 7.15 for you. Good times. You've got lots of good karma. Nothing to worry about now. Rosie didn't get notified either. I don't know. Dramus says, I get notified by YouTube. Well, that's a shocker, actually. I'm actually shocked by that you actually get notified by YouTube. I don't know what James says. Did Mr. Snacks give you the evil eye? Well, no, it was just a very hurt look on his face. Like he trusted me. He trusted me. And then that happened. All right. Let's get to it. So, German bill would ban home purchases for people with the wrong political views. So Germany is very active on the, oppressing dissent front. Has been for a while, it seems like. I mean, what do we got here? German municipalities get right of first refusal to keep right-wingers from buying property. This is from the Brussels Signal. Germany's Ministry of Construction has submitted a new draft law that would give municipalities the right to buy up property rather than let it fall into the hands of enemies of the Constitution. This is all language that it seems so familiar. That is the term most commonly applied to members of the biggest opposition party, Alternative for Germany, AfD, and others on the right. So, as far as I can tell, Germany's trying to save itself from a fascist dictatorship by becoming a fascist dictatorship and pretending that the people that they're opposed to are fascists when it's actually the establishment itself. It's the current government itself. That seems like what's happening. So, denying people housing. For the wrong political views. Ban the AfD or fight it. This is from Reuters. Germany grapples over how to counter the far right. This is from January 31st, 2024. The far right. So people that are concerned about mass immigration. This month, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz marshaled his ministers to discuss for 2 hours straight strategies on how best to tackle the far right Alternative for Germany, which is polling in second place nationwide. The AfD's success has become an urgent concern for all mainstream parties in Germany amid fears that it could sweep communal and European elections in June and 3 state elections in eastern Germany in September. Let's see. Quote, we once again have a right-wing extremist party. Are they, though? Really? Are they? That wants to destroy our free democratic basic order and that we have not managed to politically constrain in the last 10 years. It sounds like there's some fascists there, but just it's them. So, I mean, they've been talking about banning the second most popular party. Again, it sounds a little fascisty. It's starting to ring some bells, isn't it? Shouldn't this be of concern? Let's see. Germany police targets 170 people for insulting politicians online. This is from the European Conservative. 170 people for insulting politicians online. From June 25th, 2020. From June 25th, 2025. If you called Chancellor Merz a drunk or Green leader Robert Habeck an idiot in Deutschland, you could get a visit from law enforcement. They're working so hard to save themselves from fascism. Wow. Let's see. When on Wednesday, June 25th, the German federal police carried out a major operation throughout the country, searching the homes and confiscating the electronics of 170 people over social media comments that either fall in the general hate speech category or just insult sitting politicians. And, hate ain't what it used to be, is it, these days? It's a lot of things now, most of them not actually hate. And besides, who thought it was a good idea to criminalize emotions? Feels like a thought crime to me. While individuals can be targeted by the authorities at any time, these coordinated countrywide raids are organized once every year since the 2017 adoption of Article 188 of the Criminal Code, which makes insulting politicians punishable to the same degree as online hate speech, with up to 3 years in prison, while defamation and slander can get you locked up for 5 years. Insulting politicians. That's criminal. That's criminal. As you can see, they're working really hard to save themselves from fascism. Wow. These so-called action days, not Nazi sounding at all. That's not National Socialisty at all. Action days. The so-called action days are also supported by several hate crime reporting centers throughout the country, often run by left-wing NGOs who file the charges on behalf of offended people and politicians. The West is riddled with these far-left partisan NGOs. They're going hand in hand with the media down the primrose path. Thanks to these organizations, the number of registered online hate crimes reached a record level of over 10,000 last year, meaning the number has quadrupled since 2021. That's how you fight fascism, by arresting 10,000 people a year for things that they said. All right, let's go back here. So this is the state of Germany now. Germany, their fight against authoritarianism. German bill would ban home purchases for people with the wrong political views, denying housing to government critics or critics of the government. Joel Abbott posted this, and this is from Not the Bee. Did you think this was satire? Germany's government is proposing a bill that could block people from buying homes if they're suspected of anti-constitutional views, even without any criminal conviction. So you just said the wrong thing. You committed a thought crime. Now you can't buy a home. What's this? Jeremy Carl. Well, I'm sure European leaders would never abuse this power for malevolent purposes. Oh no. Oh no, they're trying to save everybody from an authoritarian government that would, I guess, do the exact same thing. Let's see. To make this possible, the government also plans to amend the Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution Act, allowing the Domestic Intelligence Agency to share personal data with municipalities for the purpose of reviewing prospective buyers. These aren't the good guys, right? These are obviously not the good guys, right? The people who want to criminalize, punish you, oppress you, make you, refuse you housing because you criticize the government. Not the good guys. Never in history of those being the good guys. German spies will work secretly with police to investigate citizens who do not conform to the government's accepted political opinions. Sounds familiar, no? The return of Nazi Germany is in full swing. This is from Marigold. We thought we Nuremberged them out of existence, but they just regrouped and came back as EU bureaucrats and WEF globalists. The irony is just so thick, is it not? It's so thick. So let's see. Banning home purchases to critics of the government. Let's see. Banning political parties. Banning the second most popular political party. Let's see. Arresting people for insulting politicians online. So I guess next it's invade Poland. It feels like they haven't learned anything, or they learned the wrong lesson, or they don't know how to learn. Something's going wrong in Germany. Something stinks in Germany. In fact, the whole EU. Disturbing as hell. Let's go back to the chat, and I'm going to get rid of this stuff because I got too many tabs open. All right. Here we go. Looks like we got Daddy in the chat. Good to see you. All right. What are we talking about? Hold on. Drama says USA can't tolerate a communist country to its northern border. Well, I think it's one thing that's been unsaid, and I forgot to say it in the on the segment on how insane and idiotic it would be for Canada to join the EU, and in the clip video. But the United States would never allow this. Like, it would put enormous pressure on, if Canada were determined, the US would put enormous pressure on Europe, on the EU, to not accept Canada. It would just be totally unacceptable. So it's not actually going to happen. But even like this would be a bipartisan thing too. A Democrat government would not would also lose their mind over that. Although, I mean, the only reason that it would work for the EU and for the US is to use Canada as a bargaining chip between them, which would mean that Canada would just end up being hollowed out, right? Because once you're in the EU, you don't control, well, you lose national sovereignty. So you don't control trade anymore, your external trade anymore. That's a big one. Obviously, your borders, everything, but you don't control your external trade. So that would be the mechanism by which the EU and the United States could just carve up Canada between them. But I just don't see it happening. The U.S. would, I just don't see the U.S. allowing it. Trudeau Survivor says, so we're talking about the new cooking channel show here, which is kind of like, well, I put it in the cooking channel folder. If anybody's just listening when I release this later on Spotify or whatever, This is a video of a woman using her pretty ample breasts as like a hydraulic press. You've all seen those hydraulic press videos, right? And there's something strangely satisfying about it. And for this one as well, strangely satisfying, I will say. It's a very good video. As a matter of fact, she seems, I'm not going to say glum, but just kind of, I don't know, what's the word? What's the word? It's just, this is just a job. She's just doing her job. She probably makes a good income crushing random items with her boobs. True Survivor says, I bet she does. I bet she does. And she should as well. It's hard work. It's good work. Let's see. As he says, please, Trump, we need regime change here in Canada. He's not going to do it. Canada needs to solve its own problems. Bambot says, can we subscribe to a mailing list that you will send when you are about to start? Well, I start at 6 o'clock Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then 7:30 on Fridays. So, you know, it'd be everybody knows. Let's see. Spambot says, when Alberta goes, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and BC will soon follow. Well, the more of this just blatant, unbelievable corruption that's going on, just totally discrediting our democracy with all these floor crossers, especially the last one, that's going to help the separation vote. You know, I don't know. I mean, I see some polls. I just saw a poll that was like, I think, you know, it was like 27% were for leaving. I mean, I look at all the polls with a very skeptical eye, obviously. I would like to see one that, you know, I'd like to see a few. Of course, they're all going to be biased, right? So in the 1995 independence referendum in Quebec, they were off by about, I think the aggregate was off by about 5 points. So I could absolutely see that. If it is, in fact, like 27% for, but if that, you know, you have that poll that said, I can't even remember who it was, but 27% for, 73 against, even if it's, you know, underestimating by 10 points, it's still pretty far off. So, but I think that the Alberta separation people are pretty determined. And whatever happens with this next, with the referendum that's going to happen, whatever happens, I don't think that, you know, if it doesn't go their way, that they're going to just throw their hands up and say, "Oh, that's it. I guess we quit." No, I think the sentiment's been there for a long time, and the longer that Carney's in power, the more it will go. The more it will. I think a lot of people are really disgusted with the way that Carney's getting his majority because it's obviously corruption and bribery. As he says, in Quebec, they won't get Alberta money to keep them in. Quebec, you know, I've been thinking about it lately, and I like Quebecers, the Quebecois. I like them. You know, they've all been really cool that I've met, and I respect that they care about their culture and they're kind of uncompromising on that, and they're not ashamed of their culture. I respect that. If they had left in 1995, Canada would have been a conservative country the whole time because the Liberals need Quebec. If they had left, the fortunes of Canada would have changed quite a bit. Although, I mean, you know, you always run the risk of then your conservative party getting corrupted by globalists. Maybe that would have happened, but we certainly wouldn't have had Trudeau. That's for sure. I think if Quebec wants to separate, they should go. I think if Alberta votes to leave, that should be respected, and I totally get it. And same thing for Quebec. I mean, for them, it would be economically a very bad, but be economically good for the rest of the country. Let's see. Izzy says, Carney may get his majority, but he'll have a unity crisis. Not that he cares, as long as he fills his pockets on the way out. This is what I'm saying. This is what I've been saying. Carney does not give a shit about Canada. He's barely lived here as an adult. His wife and kid live in New York City. He's a globalist. He's a self-described elitist globalist. Okay, he does not care about Canada. He has no allegiance to Canada. Okay, he is here for one. I think he's here for one term to loot the country. I think he's here for one term I think he's here for one term to take the national credit card and max it out to subsidize a bunch of green boondoggles, carbon capture, carbon credits, all of this stuff. I think that's why he's here. He's here to rescue global climate finance. Let's not forget he was the UN climate finance envoy, the global climate finance envoy. Okay, he set up the Net Zero Banking Alliance, which is now defunct. It went defunct shortly before he started running for prime minister. He's here for that. He's here to rescue net zero global finance, and he's going to use your money to pay for it. That's what he's here for. And when he leaves, he's going to just decide what castle in Switzerland he wants to live in. That's it. He's just going to go again. It's not like he's been drawn to Canada first. Like, no, he doesn't give it. He's got like five. He had like five, 3 passports before he became prime minister. I think he had to get rid of a couple, but he'll get them back again. He's going to have so much money. Let's see. Let's see. Izzy says, how about criminal charges for insulting citizens from the politicians? Izzy says, yeah, that would be nice. Not going to happen. Izzy says, 1984 was a warning. It was, and we're not listening. Canadian social credit score. I'm sure that's coming. Let's see. Rosie asks, okay, I'm confused. Is the memo masher supposed to be entertaining? Yes. What is she teaching? She's she's using her boobs as a hydraulic press and crushing things like donuts. I have never been on OnlyFans. Is this what is featured there? I believe OnlyFans is mostly young women putting, I believe, zucchinis and cucumbers in their bums. I think. I'm not certain. I think so. But she's not doing that in this video, so it's not OnlyFans. All right. Spambot says the human hydraulic press is something I said. Yes, Spambot sent it. And thank you. You knew that I would love it. Danny says we are going back to the 1930s in the EU and Germany. Yeah, it's baffling. It's baffling. They have to save democracy by killing democracy. Great. Let's see. Spambot says hold on. Says he's collecting signatures for the petition for the independence referendum. We collected more signatures since the last floor crosser than all of February combined. Yeah. That's going to have an impact. Definitely. Trudeau Survivor says she looks dispassionate, joyless, vacant, detached. All words I was reaching for and I couldn't find. Thank you, Trudeau Survivor. You're right. But still, I love it. All right, so let's see. Rosie says, excellent description. Wonder if this is the career she mentioned in kindergarten when asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's a legitimate career. Okay, stop being so hard on her. She's just trying to crush things with her boobs. Let's see. All right. What are we doing next? What the heck are we doing? Should we just get on with it? Let's get on with it. So, Canadian floor crosser. So, Mark Carney has managed to convince another floor crosser to join the Liberal Party, cementing his majority government that he wasn't elected to, but he's managed to get through backroom deals, through scheming, and obviously through bribery. This is unprecedented. 5 since, what was it, November last year? Or December last year? 4 conservatives, 1 NDP. So it's both the major parties. And the NDP only had, I think, 6 to start with. So something rotten is going on. Nothing like this has happened since 1917 when they had a conscription crisis. And you've never had a majority government formed by people walking over. And especially this one just makes it even more unbelievable, as this is a somebody who presented themselves as a, dyed-in-the-wool conservative, who the Liberals hate, by the way. Says, to the dishonorable Marilyn Gladue, you're a traitor to the people who voted for you. Floor crossing has got to go. Traitor Gladue, by-election now. Well, we'll get to all of this. But from table salt, the constituency office of MP Gladue, who betrayed her constituents and crossed the floor to prop up Carney, being defaced, and people are angry, and they're right to be angry. She had presented herself as being a dyed-in-the-wool, a true blue conservative, and she's not. What was she saying here? So, Miss Conductor 2022 posted this. She's trying to scrub this. Here you go. I downloaded it, knowing she'd try. Well, let's take a look. What did she say here? What was she saying about Carney and the Liberals?
Hi, MP Marilyn Gladue here. A lot of people have been asking me, what do you think about Mark Carney? And so I thought I would let everyone know what I think about Mark Carney, starting off with the fact that he's been Justin Trudeau's economic advisor for the past 5 years. So he's part of the disastrous mess that has been created by the Liberals in terms of the inflation, the increased cost of everything. And so I don't see that he is going to bring any change at all. And when you look at who he has appointed as his chief of staff, Marco Mendicino. Marco Mendicino was kicked out of cabinet for all of the lies that he told when he said that the police requested they enact the Emergency Measures Act, and the police clearly said they did not. And when he said he didn't know anything about Paul Bernardo being transferred to a medium security prison, and that turned out not to be true either. And then the transition team for Mark Carney, he picked David Lametti. David Lametti was the minister in the middle of the SNC-Lavalin scandal that got the get-out-of-jail-free card for SNC-Lavalin in the corruption case. So this is really bad judgment, in any case, and it doesn't speak well of the integrity of the government. But what we know about Mark Carney is that he would...
I'll tell you what doesn't speak well of the integrity of the government. You joining it. Wow. Hold on. Let's see. What do we have here? I want to show you something. Hold on. There's so much on her. Hold on. Where is it? She won the election by 53 to 37. And she won the election, the last election, 53% of the vote. That's a majority of the vote. And to 37%, 53 to 37. That's a huge win. This is a real conservative riding here, right? And you can say, oh, well, the polls are tightening. Well, what do we have here? 47 to 39, 8 points. Not tightening that much. It's still a very conservative riding. So all of these people who worked for her, who volunteered, who donated, who went and voted, have been totally and utterly betrayed by this woman. Let's hear. What's this here? White Claypool posted this. Miss MP Gladue takes a smiling selfie with a Liberal Party member at the LPC convention the same day Mark Carney said she would have to vote for the Liberals' progressive social program. She was formerly a social conservative, pro-lifer. Again, she was hated by the left. She was hated by the Liberals, and she's still hated by Liberals. They see her as like just on the verge of invading Poland, right? They think she's far right. She's actually just kind of like really a centrist conservative. But for them, anybody one step to the right of them is the bad guys from Germany. There she is. There she is. And she says she's going to vote for all of the liberal stuff, even though she apparently hates them. Oh, she did. Doesn't hate them anymore. Doesn't hate them anymore. What do we have here? Here's a reporter actually doing their job. Here's a reporter asking her a question about her constituents who she has utterly and totally betrayed, as she could not get elected there as a liberal. Right? It's a conservative seat. And I expect it'll go more conservative after this betrayal. Let's hear this.
Like, I heard you in your speech right now. You seem to be saying your constituents voted for this and the Liberals. The first person we talked to yesterday at Sarnia couldn't believe it. They called you a turncoat. They couldn't believe what you had done. And you're telling us that they want this. I just don't buy it.
Well, all I can say is that I've been listening to my constituents since last summer, and this is what my constituents are saying. This is what they want, and certainly it's going to be good for them.
These are just lies. These are just total and utter lies. It's a conservative riding. It is the next election. It will be a conservative riding. She could not get elected as liberal. That's not what she's hearing. She's just lying.
The riding, we're going to receive the support we need. It's going to be good for the country. I have experience to help build it, and it's good for me personally as well. Thank you.
Are there other floor crossers?
And she's just going against, literally, she's just forsaken everything that she has claimed to have been for. She has just forsaken everything she claimed to believe in and care about during her entire political career. And now she's unelectable, by the way. She's unelectable for the Liberals. She's unelectable for the Conservatives. So I wonder what's in it for, because her political career is now done after this. So the next election, she's gone, right? So I wonder what could have enticed her. I wonder what Mark Carney could have had that might have enticed her. I don't know. I mean, let's see. Have we ever had a prime minister before who had such global connections? Remember how we were told all about his amazing global connections, right? A lot of net zero carbon capture, net zero companies probably think very highly of Mark Carney, and probably they owe him a few favors, actually. I wonder if any of them would be willing to, I don't know, say in a few years' time, maybe take on a few extra employees at very high wages and very cushy jobs. I wonder. I have to wonder, why isn't the media wondering about that? Ryan Garrettson posted this. How is this democracy? Who needs elections when the Liberals are on a mission of recruiting floor crossers? Let's take a look.
Are you talking to other MPs?
Yes, we're talking. There's lots of conversations happening.
How many more are you recruiting?
There's no number. We are talking to lots of people.
But you are recruiting. You are actively trying to get more.
We are welcoming. We have a mission. We're having conversations with people who are very confident in the Prime Minister's mission. And if they want to join and put their shoulder to the wheel, we welcome them to join the party. But I will just say this.
Sounds like it's a bit of both.
They're obviously offering them a package of something, more money. I wonder as well, these voters don't tend to treat floor crossers very well in the next election. So I think you have to assume most of their political careers are over. Where do they go next? Will anybody ask this question? Will anybody check after the next election what happened to these people? Where was their next place of employment? Don't count on it from the mainstream media in Canada. They're going to be curiously incurious about it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here. Thomas Mulcair. What does he have to say? This is posted by Mark Nixon.
And I think that there will be other people on the conservative backbenches who are chafing under the controls of Poilievre and the people around him who are saying, you know what? I'm not putting up with this anymore. I am going to take that offer and cross.
And just completely forsake everything they've ever claimed to believe, because that is what they have to do. To go and vote for liberal bills, it is the opposite of the Conservative Party. Okay, that's the opposite of conservative policies now. So is it really Pierre Poilievre or is it something else? Because he brought in a record number of conservative votes in the last election, even though it wasn't quite enough. It was still a record number. It was 41.5%, the best they'd done in 40 years. And he just had an 87% approval in the leadership convention. So is it that former NDP leader Tom Mulcair?
The floor. And I think that there will be other people on the conservative backbenches who are chafing under the controls of Poilievre and the people around him who are saying, you know what? I'm not putting up with this anymore. I am going to take that offer and cross the floor. And I think that
take that offer. What offer, though? What is the offer? Is there any mainstream journalist in Canada who's got connections? I mean, there must be one who maybe has a sniff of something. Can we see? Is there a document that we can see? Is there an email? Is there a text that we can see? Don't count on it. Even if they get it, don't count on seeing it, because it would hurt the Liberals. What's this? Posted by Centibillionaire. A classic Franklin story. Franklin learns Canada is a fake democracy. Yeah. Well, a lot of people are learning that. You apparently can just buy your way to majority now. If you're influential and wealthy enough, like Mark Carney is. Let's see. Brittany posted this. This is the exact reason why people don't trust politicians. Well, this is March 25th, 2026. One of Marilyn Gladu's final question period moments. Isn't this interesting? Let's take a look. So March 25th, not long ago at all.
Speaker, the Emergency Measures Act has been ruled unlawful by the courts twice. The Liberals violated the charter rights of Canadians by freezing their bank accounts when the threat of a national security threshold was never met. They've wasted millions of dollars of taxpayer money, and now they are appealing this court decision for a third time. With an affordability crisis and a jobs crisis, will the Liberals quit wasting taxpayer monies on something that the courts have ruled twice is unlawful? Speaker,
So was she acting then or is she acting now? Obviously, both. I mean, this is somebody who's totally faithless to betray all of those people. So shamelessly. It's not even like it was a close riding. No, they chose the Conservative Party. They chose Pierre Poilievre, all right? And yes, I know that we vote for MPs. But we're not voting for MPs. We're voting for the policies of the party and of the leader of the party. Everybody knows that, and anybody who pretends that we're not doing that is just is lying. Yeah. So again, cynicism abounds. It just abounds because of these snakes, these vile scoundrels, we could call them. All right. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me just, here we go. So let's hear what Pierre Poilievre says about this.
I feel badly for Ms. Gladu's constituents, the strong majority of whom voted for our conservative vision of an affordable and safe Canada. In fact, and if I can be blunt, under my leadership, she had a massive increase in the conservative vote in her riding. And she said that she was going to stand up for the conservative values of affordability and safety. Now, she has joined the most costly Liberal government in Canadian history, going back on her word. She has said that members of Parliament that flip parties after they were elected, promising to be in a different one, should be forced to run in a by-election. I couldn't agree more. In fact, I believe that constituents in her riding and every riding should be able to petition for a by-election whenever a member of Parliament changes parties. I feel badly for Miss Gladhu's.
Well, this is the thing, is that she said that. She said there should be a by-election. You shouldn't just be able to cross over. This is what she said. Hold on. And I think I have it in here somewhere. Hold on.
Confidence that he cares about Canada at all.
Hold on. Thought that I had it. Let's see. Do I have it? Do I have it? Is it in here? No. Okay. So it's important to see. So, everybody start your PhD thesis, start working on your epic poem. But it won't be that long. Just 1 second. I always leave something out. Hold on. Let's see. Where is it? Hold on. I know it's in here somewhere. Just give me a second. Why can't I find it? Why can't I find it? All right, well, let's just watch this. So, Marilyn Gladue on whether she'd resign and run in a by-election because she had called for people who were changing sides, crossing the aisle to a different party to have to face by-elections. Now she's done it. What does she say about it now?
Before that you would trust you when you've said different things previously. MPs across the floor that they should run in a by-election. So when do you intend to resign your seat and run in a by-election or follow through on the case?
Well, I also said that in order for that to happen, the Elections Act has to be changed. And the Elections Act has to be changed to make sure that people will have to either sit as, independents or call a by-election. That law has not been changed. And so when it does, I would be happy to do that.
You know you could. Did you ask the Prime Minister to get that law changed so that you could run in a by-election?
I've had many discussions with the Prime Minister, but what I'm hearing is from people that are saying, look, this is a critical moment for our country, and we need to get building those nation-building projects, and we need to diversify our trade. We need to address these tariffs that are unjust.
All the things that aren't happening, that haven't happened, all the things that aren't happening, that haven't happened over the past year, and that aren't going to happen, if we're just being honest with ourselves.
In the U.S. And so I'm going to be working with the Prime Minister.
So she could absolutely have a by-election. She won't because she has no principles, because she's a snake. And everybody's just learned that. And, she'll be out of politics after this anyway. So, she does not care. Then she'll be getting those goodies, whatever Carney's got in store for her. Let's see. Did anybody post it under here? The link of her. Anyway, you get the point. It's all very dirty and disgusting, and it's leaving Canadians very, very cynical about Canada, its democracy. It just seems like you can just buy a Mark Carney can come in with a lot of wealth and a lot of influence and just start buying people. Just on the promise of what he can do for them after they inevitably are out of politics after crossing the floor, because they basically become unelectable after that. She certainly is, right? She's done now. So for somebody to just betray her, what she claimed were her principles, and all those people who worked for her, who volunteered for her, who donated to her, who went out and stood there and in line and voted for her, it's disgraceful. I think I imagine she's getting something pretty juicy off Carney. This is not going to help. This is not going to help. But what this might help with is causing, because she is so disliked by liberals, this might help out the NDP. Right? It might help out the NDP. And there's something from, hold on. Everybody just hold on. Let's see. Wait 1 second. I think there's something from Jasmine Lane I just wanted to read. Yes, quickly. Jasmine Lane posted this. Funny how far right, radical, and threat to democracy, istphobe, insult here, has been rebranded as Big Tent. That's right. Now the liberals have a big tent. It's nothing about just getting power, getting compromised, corrupt people to solidify that power for them. I'll patiently wait for the apologies. But I think this is very disillusioning. This is going to be disillusioning for some liberals as well. Maybe this will help out the NDP. We will have to see. All right. I am going to get rid of that. Let's go back to the chat, shall we? What are you guys talking about? I knew you guys would have something to say about this. Ottawa says Quebec won't separate. They keep voting libtard. I don't know. I feel like things are changing fast in Canada. I think Canada is in a maybe a unique place in its history, right? Like, you can't keep sticking an eye, or you can't keep putting a stick in the eye of places like, Alberta forever, right? Like, eventually, when things get bad enough, when things get economically bad enough, a lot can happen, and it can happen really quickly. And there's already a pretty solid foundation there. So, let's see. Rosie says, is Richie still talking? Shut up. How are we supposed to hear him with so many unanswered questions distracting? Don't even listen. I'm doing this for myself. I'm just doing this because I like the sound of my own voice. Let's see. Ottawa James says, Sarnia is a conservative right. I guess it's very conservative. Izzy says, so obviously backroom deals being made involving bribes to overturn the votes of citizens should be criminal. It's clearly what's happening. This isn't just, there's the occasional person, and maybe they have a kind of maybe the parties aren't so different, and maybe they have some personal evolution in their views or epiphany or something. This isn't that. This is 5 from 2 different parties, happening in a matter of months. It's coordinated. Something stinks. Ottawa James says, what a two-faced traitor. Yes, that is it. Weasel. Trudeau Survivor says, if she's so confident that her constituents shifted to Mark Carney, then she should have no problem having a by-election. Well, exactly. That's just a very clear point, isn't it? Right? Obviously, it's not true. And you see the polling, it's not true. Ottawa James says, good for her personally. Yeah, she said it'd be good for her personally. Unbelievable. Bribery works. Ottawa James says, yep. Trudeau Survivor says, her hunchback matches Carney's. Ottawa James says, too many retards in Canada. No, Ottawa James, come on. It's frozen retards. Frozen retards. Although they're starting to thaw out now. Let's see. Izzy says, Brookfield executive positions, I'm sure. He's connected to so many companies. There's literally hundreds of conflicts of interest, and they all owe him something, right? And I mean, it seems to me plausible. I don't know. I'm speculating, but it seems to me plausible that's something that he can offer after these people destroy their political careers, as they're doing. I mean, they're only good until the next election, right? Ottawa says CTV is just as bad as CBC. Yep. Mockingbird Media, as he says, yep. Dame Pam, how you doing? Good to see you. Izzy says the NDP leader wants to eat the rich. Avi Lewis, yeah. Please start with Carney. Yes, please. Oh, he's not a fan of Carney at all. Let's see. I mean, Avi Lewis, I think, is actually going to be an effective leader for the NDP. I said after the last election I would never overestimate the Canadian voter again, and I think that, yeah, and I'm right to do that, because you see the NDP convention, you think, no lunatic is going to vote for this. You'd have to be nuts. But no, they are. Actually, I think you're going to see the NDP numbers rising. And I think they're going to get to at least back to where they were with Jagmeet. Because he's offering really simple, easy, childish solutions like government grocery stores, all of that. So, and that's going to be appealing to, I don't know, like 20% of the population. Let's see. Danny says all the four crossers should have done a by-election. Yep. And if they had, they wouldn't have gotten elected. That's why, yeah. That's why they don't. They could. That's why they don't, though, because they know they won't get elected if they do. They'll lose. Dame Pam says she ought to pay back all those who donated to her conservative fundraising campaign. Not going to happen. She's got no soul. Denny says it's like the government is giving the votes, the voters, the finger with all these floor crossers. They don't care. Mark Carney doesn't care. It's about power. It's about having unrestricted access to the national credit card so he can max it out for his net zero goals. That's what it's about. And there's going to be a lot of companies connected to him, connected to Brookfield. You know, blind trust be damned that are going to owe him a lot. And he's going to make a lot too. And once that's done, once he's achieved that, he's gone. He's back to Europe again. And he'll never come back to this country again. Let's see. Denny says should do a by-election. I know. Yeah. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says she could force a by-election by resigning, like Chrystia Freeland, except she's got to get those goodies, right? She got the package from Carney. Let's see. She got the betrayal package. My blood boils hearing her speak. Izzy says, yep. Izzy says, yeah, I could see libs flipping to NDP. Well, let me just let you in on a little something. I was talking to a friend of mine, long time friend of mine, great guy, smart guy too. He's very much bought into the, I don't know, like the kind of the woke stuff though, the progressive thing. And he loves Avi Lewis, big fan of Avi Lewis. And I'm not arguing because I want him to vote for Avi Lewis and all of his friends. Yeah, he says that he's done with the Liberals now. He voted for the Liberals last time, and him and his friends, he says, whether or not they would actually vote for the NDP if it looked like it was close and that the Conservatives might win, whether they would just vote Liberal just to block Conservatives, I don't know. But it sounds like they've. I mean, what I heard was that the Gladue thing was the last straw because she is seen by them as I get like a literal monster. And Carney's done nothing and he's achieved nothing. That's what I'm hearing. So I think that the NDP could be on the rise. And there's zero chance of Avi Lewis ever becoming prime minister, so it's fine. It's fine. It's good. Good for the Conservatives. All right, let's move on. So
For decades.
So RFK Jr. has put out this post, April 8th. Coming soon, the Secretary Kennedy podcast. And this is the way of the future. Especially if you're conservative, right wing, or just centrist, this is the way, because the media is not going to put out your message unmolested. They're going to taint whatever you say. If it's in the United States, if it's a Republican, your message is not getting out without negative framing. At the minimum, probably a bunch of falsities, a bunch of lies and disinformation. So, perfect way to get your word out, to get what you actually think out to the people. Perfect. I want to see more of this. Let's continue. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
Now, Americans have been told that we should trust the system, but our children are... For decades now, Americans have been told that we should trust the system, but our children are sicker, chronic diseases exploding, and the answers that we've been given aren't working. Many of us have come to the conclusion that government actually lies to us. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary. This podcast is about telling the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. I'm going to have fearless conversations with critical thinkers, including independent doctors, respected scientists, and leaders in medical innovation and research. I'm going to ask the questions and lift the taboos and expose the hypocrisy and the conflicts and the corruption. We're going to follow the evidence wherever it leads. And we're going to name the names of the forces that obstruct the paths to public health. This isn't going to be about politics. It's about our families, it's about our children, and it's about confronting the spiritual malaise and embracing the truth. If we want a healthy nation, we have to confront the lies that have made us spiritually, morally, and physically sick. The time for half measures is now over. We're launching a new era of radical transparency in government here at HHS. I hope you'll join us in our mission to make America healthy again.
Well, transparency in government, always a good thing. Makes you wonder why nobody seems to have it in the Western world. But, beyond that, he doesn't say it in here. But again, for him to get his message out through the media, right? It's not going to pass through without being just mangled by the mainstream media, who hates him, by the way, right? Unless you talk in the language of pharmaceutical ads, right? They're going to attack you. So this is, I think, a way for this is going to be a major way for politicians to get their message out. It already is. It worked for Trump. I think it's starting to. Pierre Poilievre in Canada, leader of the Conservative Party, is doing it now. I think it's working well for him. Floor crossers aside, but it obviously is the way, right? Especially if you're a conservative politician or you're with a conservative party, a centrist like RFK Jr., who's with the Republicans, but he himself really is kind of a centrist. The only way you can really get your message out unmolested is like this. The only way you can get your actual message out in some pure form is through this. And obviously it's the way of the future, and it's just kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? All right, let's move on. So, it turns out that, hold on. So it turns out that communist Zoran Mamdani is not actually able to bring those free buses quite yet. So Zoran Mamdani backs down on cornerstone campaign promise of free New York City buses. It's from the New York Post. Who would have guessed that he'd fail in this? Let's see. Slam the brakes. Mayor Zoran Mamdani conceded he won't be able to deliver his promise of free buses this year, making a U-turn on one of the cornerstones of his campaign. Instead, he's turning his focus on restarting a pared-down, fare-free bus pilot program. Politico first reported Wednesday, confirming New Yorkers will have to wait for the citywide, no-cost transport he promised on the campaign trail. Well, I think they're going to be waiting a long time. And the thing is that you need to pay for it. And when you are scaring anybody who is a net taxpayer out of the city, you're going to run into problems. It's the thing with socialism, right? It's great until you run out of other people's money, as Margaret Thatcher said. There he is there, with hand on his heart, promising to destroy New York City to the approval of whoever that guy is. Let's see. Still, the mayor insisted he was absolutely committed to making buses fast and free. Eventually. First, they need to seize the means of productions, I guess. First, they need to seize the means of production, I guess. We're encouraged by the conversations we're having with the governor and legislative leaders to take action on that in 2026 as a first step. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to say about this? Here's Kathy Hochul on Mamdani's free bus policies. Let's see. From February 25th. Let's take a peek. What does she say?
Oh, I'm from Buffalo. We don't put up with a lot of crap. So I just want to set the stage that, you look at the history of people who've run multi-million-dollar ad campaigns to try and get me to change my position. I don't change my position. So I just want to put it out there. I respect people's opinions. I respect the proper place to convey them. And so I've said to people, I hear you. And that was important. But also, there's a time and place. And so that's all on that. No, I've had conversations on this trip, but many conversations, I'd say over the summer and the fall, that were important, that led to an understanding of what's in the realm of possibility, shared ambitions, but what is doable is the question.
I bet he didn't like hearing about what's in the realm of possibilities.
And so, no, we're aligned on so many of these issues. I've made it clear where I have strong disagreements with issues that really do not pertain to, the governance of New York City. I've said you need to get a police commissioner that people trust, who has a record of accomplishment to keep the trajectory that we're on right now, which is crime is going down. Crime is going down significantly.
All right. So she said, I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and subways.
A mission accomplished, but that is a great trend. So him agreeing with that assessment, that recommendation to keep Jessica Tisch was an important statement on many fronts. So I'm looking forward to, having our teams keep a lot of conversations with our teams. We said we'd be talking, I'm meeting him very soon to talk about our response if there is a surge of ICE agents and National Guard that do come, perhaps after his inauguration, and how we can be proactive in preventing that from happening. And that's the state I'm in right now, prevent that from happening. So we've had a lot of conversations. So no, I think there's a mutual respect. And that's going to, I think, only grow deeper.
So that's
keep up that guy's bond and banner work.
Perfect transition. You have recommended that he.
Yeah, so she's with like all the other stuff, but the whole buses thing is just a little bit of a fairy tale. But she's with everything else. So she's totally for breaking immigration law, for instance. Loves that. Let's see. I meme, therefore I am posted this. In under 2 months, Mamdani went from free bus rides and tax the rich to let's cut libraries, tap retiree-related trust funds, and raise property taxes. But don't worry, New York City, as long as you know he is fasting during Ramadan, you'll be fine. Well, that's good to know. Good for him. That was February 21st, and yeah, no free bus rides, unfortunately, but still wants to tax the rich, though, I think, doesn't he? Let's see. All right. New York City voters got played. Yeah, fare required still. There you go. All those communist dreams went up in smoke. I'm sure that he'll still ruin the city further, though. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Let's go back to the chat for a second. Spambot says, the media hates all my family. Me too. Let's see. Izzy says lots of strategic voting going on, so they'll vote Lib to avoid conservative wins. And I think a lot of people saying they're going to the NDP, that might be the case. Although I don't know. I will never assume anything rational from any Canadian. Well, not from any, obviously, but from 55% of the voting public in Canada ever again. I think the hate of conservatism is so strong in Canada that a lot of that's what happened in the last election, right? It was a consolidation of the leftist vote to just prevent conservatives from enacting sane policies. Izzy says, I thought government money was free and endless supply. I mean, they just need to tax the rich more. It always works. Let's see. Dame Pam says, good looking taxing the rich as they are leaving New York in droves. Of course they are. Of course they are. Why would they think that wouldn't happen? Trudeau survivor. What about Mom Donnie's plan for government grocery stores? Haven't heard much about that. It would just end up being very ineffective and causing basically a bunch of food deserts as well. Let's see. Let's move on. So, on the topic of Doge, Tim Burchett is leading Doge now, and he's a very no-nonsense guy. He seems to be constantly just totally exasperated with everybody around him for the most part, which I don't think is a bad thing. What's going on here? Save America posted this. Breaking. Tim Burchett says, I think we're sick of the hearings. We're sick of all this. We need justice. So he's the new chairman of Doge. Let's hear from him himself.
Add to that, ma'am.
So that is something that we have heard repeatedly from whistleblowers and others, that there is, yes, I would call it a cottage industry of people that when you land on our soil, that they are going to teach you all the different ways to sign up for multiple social service programs. And there's also that. So they sign up for the max amount, which is probably why there's a report that just came out on December 13th of last year that says that 81% of Somalis were receiving some sort of welfare in Minnesota.
I wonder if that's to, buy votes to create a permanent one-party state or something. Who knows?
Minnesota.
If you don't know the answer to this, just tell me. Do you have any knowledge or heard any talk that the Somalis are directing any of these funds to American U.S. tax dollars to Al-Shabaab terrorist organization?
There have been past criminal convictions in this, and currently we believe it's mostly happening indirectly as they send money to Somalia that Al-Shabaab takes a cut.
Y'all agree with that? We good with that? Do you think the design of the social service programs incentivizes fraud and abuse?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. When you are willing to hand over a sack of money to somebody on the assumption that they're going to provide a benevolent service, and then you never check to see if they actually did, obviously you're going to invite fraud, waste, and abuse.
Ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. We just stood up a new program that we'll probably talk about in a little bit, which is the paid family leave program. It was literally designed by Democrats to have waste, fraud, and abuse on a grand scale.
But why incentivize it? Because they know that immigrant communities tend to vote as a block. So why incentivize the fraud? Is it to win loyalty with a voting block? I wonder if it's exactly the thing that it sounds like.
Okay, I'm going to be out of time. Mr. Chairman, thank you. But I think America, we're sick of the hearings. We're sick of all this. We need justice. We need convictions. If these folks are guilty, and that needs to happen. America is sick of this. It needs to happen.
Yeah. Again, he's always exasperated. I think probably for good reason. Because, there is so much pushback on anything sane because it's political power, right? All of this is political power. The fraud, it looks like, is just all about political power. So there's going to be pushback. I mean, any kind of responsible voting bill is going to get massive pushback because, well, it appears that the Democrats rely on insecure elections. So the last thing they want is like everybody needing to prove that they can vote, for instance, right? So it must be incredibly exasperating and frustrating, endlessly frustrating. But he's trying. All right. I mean, here he's talking about, filing to abolish the African Development Foundation after its director pled guilty to financial fraud. Every Democrat opposed it, fraudsters. And we covered this a little while back, and we went to the website of the African Development Foundation, and there's nothing there. And the links don't go anywhere. The whole thing is obviously super sketchy, but this is what he's dealing with. So if he seems frustrated a lot of the time, well, he's got good reason to be. All right. What have we got next? Jordan, let's go to the live stream. Let's go in something a little bit lighter, shall we? Let's check this out. Then we'll get back to the news. But let's go to something a little bit lighter for a little bit. Okay, what's going on here? Non-essential commentary. Baseball fan takes a shot to the egg roll. Uh-oh. Let's take a look. This is commentary by Steve. What's his name? Steve something. So it's not the original. It's not the the play-by-play guys. Let's watch.
Actually happened and why they are calling this. At first glance, it looked like it could quite possibly be a home run, but no. Two's a company, three's a crowd. The ball meets balls. My God, how humiliating. Everybody's laughing at him. Very humiliating.
Oh, Steve Inman. Yeah. Guys getting hit in the balls is just funny. It's always funny. It's always funny. Idiocracy was right, unfortunately. I approve. How about that one might want to save. Hold on. What else have we got? This is funny. All right, let's check this out. There's a little break. Who posted this? I don't know what that says. DMM Cell. All right. Translated from the Japanese. All right, let's take a look. Oh, it's got the music. Okay, we'll switch to another one. This is a good one. We'll do that on Monday. The premium stream. That one we can't do right now. Hold on. Was there anything else? Just this is just nice. Let's check this out. Ugly trucker. Getting a trucker to honk for you is one of life's simple joys. Well, let's take a look.
Now, this is something I always wanted to do. You know how when you used to be a kid and you used to drive and you see a truck and you want them to do like this and blow the horn? Let me see if I can get somebody to blow the horn. Wait a minute, what happened to the traffic? Where's the traffic? Oh, okay, we got it coming this way there for it. Hey, how y'all doing? Blow your horn. Blow your horn. Woo-hoo. They ain't paying me no attention. Hey, blow your horn. How you doing? Nobody love me. Oh, here come a truck. I did it, man. I got one. Yeah.
I feel that man's joy. I feel that man's joy. Oh, that's a palate cleanser right there. What about this? This hummingbird mama just had her first baby a few inches next to her window. This must be Rosie that sent this one in. Take a look. Music. All right, well, let's just take a look. We'll do it without the music. I might have to go back to just doing the first hour and a half or something on YouTube and then cutting that part off and then finishing it on Rumble. Let's see. That's a weird, gross little baby bird, isn't it? Kind of disgusting, actually. Tiny. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. All right, let's check this out. I think we're good with this one. It kept getting worse. All right, let's take a look.
Now can we have one with the bridesmaid? Lovely. Now, anyone who's wearing a suit for the first time. Super. Now, drunk uncles. All drunken uncles. Now, anyone who slept with the bride. Vicar? Yes, Vicar? At the back, please. I'll need the timer for this one. Yep. Now, anyone who slept with the groom.
You know, the UK used to have so much great comedy, like right up until like the 2010s, and then they got woke, and it's all just appallingly bad. And it's to say, SNL. There's no good Canadian comedy anymore. Canada had a great track record of Kids in the Hall, SCTV. Now it's all garbage. It's so sad what woke took from us. It really is. Oh well, let's go back to the news again. So all right, let's check this out. So here is the chair of the House of Commons Ethics Committee, John Brassard, giving a shout out to an independent podcaster, an independent journalist, Moose on the Loose, who I watch, and he's great. And I'm really happy to see him getting this kind of recognition here because he's doing the work that the mainstream media in Canada just will not do. And let's hear it.
I'm feeling bad. I'm sorry. I got you on a rant. Yeah, I got you. It's important that you bring this up because, we sit here as members of parliament. I, as chair of the ethics committee, I have a front row seat to all of this stuff that's going on. There are independent journalists who are uncovering these things. I can think, Moose on the Loose. If people aren't following him, they should, because he's uncovering. Like, look, we have our own shop, right? Internal shop, and we're doing much of the same work that he's doing. But there are places for people to go to truly understand what the hell is going on in this country and who is getting rich from the treasury right now.
Yes.
And
of course the blueprint.
Well, and that's it. The world's second leading
most
popular podcast next to Joe.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the conflicts of interest of Mark Carney. There's John Brassard there. So MP Barrie South, Conservative. And he's talking about Moose on the Loose, who I encourage you, if you're interested in Canadian politics, I absolutely encourage you to follow him. Pardon me. I don't think he has like a Rumble channel. I think it's just YouTube, but it's well worth it. He's great. And I've shouted him out on this channel before because he pulls together all the strings. He has a big giant chart linking all of Mark Carney's many, many, many conflicts of interest. And I mean, we won't go over all of them now, but let's go over a few. Heat pump and energy efficiency, subsidies and incentives. Heat pump and energy efficiency, subsidies, incentives. So what I've been saying, what I've been predicting about Mark Carney ever since he first stuck his hat, it got, threw his hat in the ring to become prime minister, is that he's going to max out the national credit card to subsidize a bunch of net zero stuff that he will benefit from. The Carney government's climate plan includes promises to improve subsidies for heat pumps and increase financial incentives for increase financial incentives for energy efficient homes to make heating more affordable. Brookfield Infrastructure owns Enercare, Ontario-based, which offers heat pump retrofits and advertises access to government rebate programs. Critics argue this could deliver profits to Brookfield linked entities. Well, it seems like it certainly would. Carney was previously accused of lobbying the UK government while at Brookfield to expand heat pump subsidies on behalf of related interests. Similar policies in Canada are flagged as potential alignment. But you don't have to worry because let's see, Mark Carney has all this stuff in a blind. Well, hold on a second. Here are the main examples raised in public discourse and media regarding potential or alleged subsidies. Blah blah blah. Actually, hold on. I want to show you something. Hold on. I had something in here that I had highlighted. And where could that be now? Where could it be? Let's see. Let's see. Well, he has the blind trust is the thing. Mark Carney has the blind trust. Everything's in a blind trust. So he has no idea what it is. All the things that he knows that he has, it's in a blind trust. So he no longer knows what they are anymore. So everything's fine. There's no way there could be any corruption in this. Let's see. Modular prefabricated housing initiatives. Government proposals for 10 to 26 plus billion in low-cost financing, capital, or subsidies for affordable builders and prefabricated modular home production, part of broader housing goals to catalyze. There's that word that Carney likes. Catalyze construction or catalyze his bank account. Brookfield acquired Modular Group, a major modular housing prefab company, for $5 billion in 2021. Critics claim policies targeting prefab builders directly intersect with this investment. Strange. Let's say $41 billion green transition fund, green transition, clean energy funding. So the $41 billion green transition plan that aligns with renewable energy infrastructure and decarbonization sectors where Brookfield has extensive investments via its global transition funds, which Carney co-chaired. He remains eligible for carried interest on the first $15 billion fund until 2032-2034. Well, it sounds like there might be quite a bit of money there for him. Let's say broader catalyze $500 billion in private investment via government spending on infrastructure. Brookfield is a major player in Canadian renewables, wind, hydro, and infrastructure assets, all stuff that he's pouring subsidies into. Brookfield received Canada's emergency wage subsidy during the pandemic while distributing shareholder benefits. That was pre-Carney PM era. But during his time at the firm, but also during the time when he was advising Justin Trudeau. So it just kind of goes on and on. Let's say nuclear, small modular reactors, government investments in small modular reactors. Brookfield, that's $2 billion at Darlington. Brookfield has links via Westinghouse, partial ownership in some contexts, and Carney promoted related assets. It just goes on. I mean, it's literally hundreds. It's hundreds. Let's see. Anyway, the point being, yes, that there's an enormous amount of conflict of interest, or at least, potential conflict of interest that nobody in the mainstream media is covering here. Like Mark Carney, conflict of interest. So what do we got? Well, here's for the high-speed rail with Champagne, his partner working at Alto. There's an ethics, what appears to be an ethics violation there, although because he's a liberal and it's Canada, nothing will happen. CTV says no risk of potential conflict with Champagne's partner working for Alto. That's from the ethics commissioner. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it's Canada. This is Canada. Let's see. Carney defends high-speed rail, but what about his own? Well, then it just goes down to Carney says Canada not engaged in Middle East conflict, so nothing to do with that. Canada won't rule out. So apparently they're just not very interested in any of this for some crazy reason. What about CBC? Mark Carney, conflict of interest. Let's see. Well, there's the Alto thing again. And then it just goes back to 2025, July 15th, 2025. Polyev renews call for Carney to sell blind trust assets after list disclosed, which he hasn't done, obviously. So they took a slight bit of interest in 2025. And that's it. Not really very interested. So that's why people like Moose on the Loose are so important, because he's actually mapping it all out for you. And if you subscribe to his channel and watch his videos, you will see that. As of July 2025, Prime Minister Mark Carney placed significant investments, including shares in Brookfield Corporation and Stripe Incorporated, into a blind trust to manage conflicts of interest. Thing is, though, like, I'm pretty sure he still knows he has them. So what does the blind trust really mean? Ethics, considering that the person who's doing it is somebody who's very connected to Mark Carney. Doing the blind trust. Ethics disclosures highlighted over 560 stocks and a screen for 103 entities linked to his former roles, raising concerns about potential impacts on his official duties. It's hundreds. What do you think the blind trust means? What do you think that really means? Do you think the guy running it is going to sell all of his Brookfield and Stripe? I mean, come on. He knows what he's got, and he knows what he's got to do to make money. And he's doing it. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Maybe we'll take a look at doing an ad, huh? Should we do an ad? Do I need an ad to wake me up? Let's see. Is there anything I want to do? Nah. I don't think so. Nah, I think I'm good. Not going to do an ad. All right, let's check out the chat. Let's see. Dame Pam says, baby hummingbirds are the size of a thumbnail, a gross thumbnail. Rosie says, was Corner Gas woke? Because some of us laughed. No, that was before everything was taken over. I think I must have watched a few episodes of it. I wasn't like somebody who, watched Corner Gas, but I'm sure I saw a few episodes. I think it was fine. Izzy says, sadly, he doesn't do Rumble. I don't know why he doesn't. He should do it. Let's see. Travis says, we are told that in 2026, it's quite an achievement to have circled the moon to see its far side and return safe and sound. Well, thing is, there are pictures of because there's been, satellites that they've sent up and that have circled the moon and seen the far side. But for people, I mean, look, I wouldn't want to go on the trip, right? 300,000 miles away. I wouldn't want to go. So I still think it's an achievement. Like, it's still a big achievement, isn't it? Like, is it the same as going to Mars? No. But still, I mean, very dangerous. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I like life on Earth. I'm good with life on Earth. I don't need to go into space. So, look, I mean, yes. I mean, it's been done before, right? In fact, with astronauts, it's been done before, right? So, but decades and decades ago. So I still think it's it's as a first step to essentially colonizing the moon, building bases there and mass drivers and stuff. Yeah, I think it's a really good first step. And again, I wouldn't want to do it. Let's see. Drama says, yet on Wednesday, July 16th, 1969, when pocket phones didn't even exist, man could have easily taken his first steps on that same moon. Well, I don't think it was easy. And it was pretty dangerous, right? I think they almost died a couple of, well, there was one bad accident, wasn't there? And, but yeah, I don't think it was ever easy. I think it's a lot, like way safer now than when they did it, right? Yeah, because they didn't have anything more powerful than like a calculator. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, again, it's not Mars or, Jupiter or something, but it's still, it's, you can see it. Like, you can see it. Like, you can see the face of the moon, right? So it's not that far, but it's still really, really far. I mean, in just human terms, like it's, it's still, it's still definitely dangerous, right? Even though way safer than it was back then. Let's see. Dame Pam says, I watch him daily on my TV, Moose on Loose, and don't sign in as he is only on YouTube. Let's see. Dame Pam says, Mr. Sunshine Baby is on Rumble, though. Oh, that's good. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says the astronauts flew around the moon and they saw a giant wall of ice 100 meters high because the moon is flat. I don't think Trudeau Survivor believes that. I think he's having his own there. Let's see. Dame Pam says, did Trump support Carney to either expose him or to take Canada down, or is he just uninformed and surrounded by bad advisors? Trump made it very clear before, during the election, that he wanted to repopulate that hollowed out industrial base in the States. The hollowed out industrial plant, right? And Mark Carney was the guy because Mark Carney's policies would hurt Canadian business with all the carbon taxes and everything. He figured correctly that it would drive a bunch of industry down south. And he was right. And he got what he wanted. And he told Canadians to vote for Carney. And to spite Trump, they did, which makes absolutely no sense. But Trump got what he wanted out of it. He got a bunch of investment that left Canada and went to the States. And also a bunch of brain power that's going down there, too. So Trump got exactly what he wanted out of Carney. Let's see. Not even a coffee ad, is he asked. Not even maybe we'll try again later. Let me take another look. Let me see. Is it worth it for me? I mean, I go cheap, right? I work real cheap, but even with that now, it's still not worth it for me. Let's see. Yeah, Carney has not hurt. Like, Carney being prime minister has not hurt Trump. It's helped Trump a great deal, actually, in terms of his goals, right? He wanted a bunch of investments to flow into the United States, and they did. So Canadians fell for it. Trudeau Survivor says Trump and Carney knew each other from real estate financing deals. Well, I don't know if they knew each other directly, but there was Jared Kushner. Was bailed out by Brookfield, I believe, on a real estate deal. So there is a connection there. Let's see. Spambot says, I had no clue Moose on the Loose is on TV. He's not on TV. He's on YouTube. I haven't owned a TV in decades. That's true. Spambot has not actually watched TV since Elvis's 1968 comeback concert, which was fantastic. He was back, lean and mean. All right. Now what are we doing? We did all this stuff. We did we did that. What do we got here? So okay. Let's do this. So Canada has become a laughingstock once again. This is a normal thing now. This was normalized under Justin Trudeau as Justin Trudeau remade Canada in his absurd, ludicrous image. So this is the newest thing from Samantha Smith posted this. So we have a new acronym, MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA+. So this has gone viral. And in fact, there's even a JD Vance meme about it, which is really funny. But this person here is Leah Gazan. And, well, let's hear.
Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent. Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S.
Okay. I mean, she remembered it. That's impressive. She remembered the whole thing. The Canadian government just dropped this absolute monstrosity, and no, it isn't satire. Smith. Context. This is Leah Gazan, MP. The federal government of Canada is comprised of three branches. Parliament of Canada is the legislative branch. Ergo, Leah is an elected representative of the Canadian federal government. Let's see. Yeah. Now, hold on one second. Where do I have it, actually? Hold on. I had something. Hold on. All right. So she's talking about missing and murdered Aboriginal women, which is a serious thing and a horrible thing in Canada. There was an inquiry into this. And in 2014, National Operational Overview in 2015 update. In solved murders of Indigenous women, 70% of offenders were of Aboriginal origin. 25% non-Aboriginal and 5% unknown. 70% were of Aboriginal origin. In 2023, Statistics Canada did an analysis of 2014 to 2021 homicides. Among solved cases, 86% of persons accused of killing an Indigenous woman or girl were themselves Indigenous. So it's happening within the Indigenous community. And the tragedy of this is that because that's not politically correct, they just disregarded it. And they would rather push the ideology than actually solve this issue, which is tragic, right? This is woke dysfunction, but it's woke dysfunction to the point of tragedy. Now, the inquiry focused instead of these statistics, which they just rejected out of hand. The inquiry focused instead on systemic, colonial, and institutional factors as root causes of the violence. So as you can see, it got even worse. And this is why. This is why, because it's politically incorrect to actually deal with the real root cause, right? The real perpetrators. It's politically incorrect. So it just continues. Right? This is when I talk about woke dysfunction, right? This is what I'm talking about. It gets into everything and it gets people hurt. In any case, this thing has gone viral, and this is pretty funny. Of course, if it's got a JD Vance meme, you know, that means it's gone viral. Let's take a look.
JD, if you spell this word correctly, you will be crowned this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee Champion. The word is Meathwig 2 Slug Buck-QE+.
Can you give me the country of origin, please?
Yes, of course. The country of origin is none other than Canada.
Can you give me the definition, please?
A single word used to describe every minority group ever conceived, including several that are still pending approval.
Mish Wig 2 Slug Bupku Ia E plus. Can you use it in a sentence?
You are not a member of the Maywig 2 Slug QQEA plus community, therefore we will not be hiring you for this position.
Wig 2 Slug Baku EA plus. MMIWG 2 SLG B T Q Q I A plus.
That is correct. You are this year's National Spelling Bee Champion. Congratulations.
This is what AI is for, people. This is what it's for. If it just stopped at this, I'd be satisfied. I'd be good. I'd say it's gone far enough. It's good. This is actually good enough. I don't need any more. Anything more would be too much. Oh, God. All right. So I think you guys have got a link here. Somebody making fun of this. All right. Hold on. Copy link address. All right. Let's see what you got. Paste. Let's go. Let's go. Oh. Well, we don't like this. Skip that.
QIA plus acronym, making out that it's some kind of joke. MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus was simply an upgrade from LGBTQIA plus in order to be more inclusive to missing people in Indigenous communities. Comparing MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus to a strong password or the next sequel in the Call of Duty franchise is not only grossly offensive, but deeply disrespectful to those communities who are simply asking for us to adjust our language and broaden the LGBTQIA plus acronym in order to include more people. Upgrading acronyms is actually pretty normal. So when you deliberately don't say MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus when you could say MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus, we know that you're being deliberately exclusionary and simply trying to hurt people's feelings. Unfortunately, some people within the MMIW G2S LGBTQIA community are they themselves refusing to use the MMIW G2S LGBTQIA acronym when they could easily do so simply by using a few more letters. So if you are a member of the MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus community, you can show respect to other members of the MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus community by simply using MMIW G2S LGBTQIA plus whenever you're talking to them.
That was good. That's Mark Nixon there, by the way. So, yeah, if this is the endpoint of AI, if this were the endpoint of AI, I'd be fine with it. It's enough for me. It's enough. Yeah, Canada's a laughing stock, and I mean, you would have thought that at the end of all these letters, that'd be it. That's all of them now, right? So is that all of them? That's all of them. I just got to memorize this now. We're good. But the plus is there. So there's more. They're not sure what the rest of them are. They just know that they're definitely real. So there's a plus. Yeah, Canada is a laughing stock. And it has been since 2015, unfortunately. Let's see. What do we got here? All right. What do we have in? Let's check this out here quickly. Camus posted this. The guy just landed a spacecraft on a comet, one of the most impressive scientific achievements in years. His reward, a public struggle session because his bowling shirt had scantily clad women on it. So let's take a look at this. This actually happened a while ago. But let's take a look.
It's so hard to quantify that, right? So when people come to me and say, what have been the negative effects of the great feminization? That, I think, is at the very top of my list. That's one of the most important ones, that if you've got HR ladies planted in every single institution and who see it as their mission to get rid of exactly that maverick type of personality, there's so much innovation that we're missing out on. We don't know what would have been. One of the cancellations that affected me very emotionally, very deeply, was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was the astronomer or astrophysicist who had just landed a satellite on a comet or something really impressive like that. But he was wearing the t-shirt with the scantily clad ladies on it. It was like a bowling t-shirt.
I remember this.
Yeah. And somebody said, oh no, he's got scantily clad women on his t-shirt. And they put him through a struggle session for disrespecting women. And I was thinking, this guy just landed a satellite on a comet. Focus on that. He's so impressive. And you're putting him through this horrible public shaming. But that's the way wokeness works. It doesn't even register to these people that this guy has done something deeply scientifically impressive, that he might be a singular human being. For all you know, he might be the only person on the planet who could have done that. And all you care about is the shirt he's wearing.
Yeah. Let's actually see if we can find that guy. Hold on a second. Let's put in scientist fired for bowling shirts. Let's try that. Let's see if we can find something. Yeah, here we go. Actually, let's go back. Actually, hold on. Rosetta Comet scientist Matt Taylor apologizes for his shirt. Physicist Matt Taylor apologized for wearing a bowling shirt festooned with pinup girls during a briefing on the Philae lander's descent to a comet. Let's take a look here.
So, the shirt I wore this week, I made a big mistake and I offended many people, and I'm very sorry about this.
So, guy just looking at having his career, the thing that he loves doing, destroyed because he wore a shirt that some feminists got mad at. Right? Like half these guys are autistic for one thing, right? It shows you they're looking for just total conformity. They're not looking for excellence, merit. They're just looking for total ideological conformity, and the slightest misstep marks you as an outsider, an enemy. So they have to destroy you. If they have the power, they will try to destroy you and then put him through. I mean, this must have hit him like a ton of bricks. He must have been totally blindsided by this, right? British physicist Matt Taylor was brimming with excitement when the European Space Agency's Philae lander successfully separated from the Rosetta probe on Wednesday. He showed off a colorful tattoo on his thigh of both spacecraft while proclaiming, "We're making history." But it was his garish bowling shirt that attracted more attention than the unconventional Rosetta project scientists' words or ink. A collage of pinup girls in various states of undress holding guns. Come on, that's awesome! The controversy over the attire became known as Shirtgate or Shirtstorm on Twitter. On Friday, Taylor, wearing a nondescript navy blue ESA hoodie, offered an unsolicited apology. "I made a big mistake and I offended many people. I'm very, very sorry. I'm sure it helped him a ton. I'm sure it ended up helping him a ton." Yeah, that's just blood. Apologies are just blood in the water for those people. Maybe because he's working with European Space Agency, maybe he managed to just kind of back off into the corner after and they just forgot about him. And he just wore, white t-shirts from then on. Who knows? But it's so idiotic. It's so idiotic. What, I wonder, did he survive? Sounds like he actually did make it through. I don't know. Maybe they managed to get him on something else later. Maybe he misgendered somebody by accident. Let's see. What do we got here? Tommy Lauren posted this, said on April 6th, said, "I love this woman. She may single-handedly put J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio in the White House in 2028. Well, this is Gavin Newsom's wife. So, and she's exactly who you'd expect Gavin Newsom's wife to be. Let's take a look.
Like every problem that we have in society right now will be fixed when women come together and partner with our male allies and other allies. But when more women are in the room.
What allies do men have? Do men have allies, or we're just expected to be allies, right? Because the thing allied in the progressive context is that you're not really an ally. Like, you're not like an equal partner. You just have to fucking listen to them and do what they say. Just sit down, shut up. If they tell you to do something, do it. And don't offer anything of your own, because that would be mansplaining or sexist or misogynist or something. That's what they mean when they say this stuff.
Making decisions, changing the status quo, and transforming not just our culture, but our society and our.
Changing the status. What status quo are you talking about? I don't see you in a burqa, all right? You seem to be doing pretty damn well. You seem to be pretty free. It seems as if you can just do whatever the hell you want. What are you talking about? What are you talking? It's all so childish.
economy. I'll give you one example. Look at Silicon Valley. Had more women been early on in those companies or at the tables of power making decisions,
then every big tech company would be Chinese. Is she going to say that? I'm just guessing.
Don't think we would have so much or have allowed for so much sort of bigotry, racism, misogyny, and hate online. I don't think that we would have the anonymity.
What is this? What is she talking about? Oh, you know, before Elon, this is what she's talking about is Elon, obviously, right? Before Elon, there was lots of hate online, lots of it. It was just left-wing hate, progressive hate, the approved kind of hate, right? What they don't like is anybody being able to disagree with them ever. So you get this. And again, this is all just incredibly childish.
Of it. I think that there would have been ooh, that's unkind. That's not okay. You can't make money off of that, about dividing people, misinforming people, belittling people.
The network seemed to be doing just fine, making money off misinforming people.
Bullying people. I mean, again, think about who's the victims online more often than not. It's women, LGBTQ+, marginalized communities.
It's actually not true. Men are actually more often victims of so-called hate or abuse or whatever online. They just don't complain about it.
Women of color.
It's all just the same bullshit. It's just these baseless assertions over and over and over again. These are just articles of faith for them. There's no amount of reality. There's no statistics. There's no metrics. There's nothing grounded in reality that can change their mind on this. It just has to be true because it's progressive. It feels progressive. It must be true. And they just keep spouting it to the point of such absurdity. This woman spouting about this. And I mean, it is for Gavin Newsom's wife to be talking about the inequalities that I'm sure that she's suffering. She must be suffering. She must believe she's suffering all these things, all these harms and oppression, right? It's just so absurd. It's so obviously false, like on its face, false. Yet they just keep shoveling this shit over and over and over again. You have to understand, nothing will ever change their minds, right? To change their mind would be unfashionable, and they ain't gonna do it. Wow. I eat bat shit all the time, and I am just fine. What? Jen Newsom Weinstein is high in her own supply. People have been kissing her ass for so long, she actually believes she has risen beyond the rank of first fluffer. Ooh, that's offensive. That's misogyny right there. And become the head of Mensa. Reality is coming in hot. Coming in hot. The henpecking is off the charts. Oh, look, she's doing it. Yep, she's doing it. She claims if women ran everything, all the violence and bullying would just stop. Oh, I've met women before, so I don't agree with that because I've met women. So I think that's false. All right. Let's see. Watch this here. Amy Reichert posted this. So here is California State Senator Scott Wiener. Stood there fidgeting, playing with his mouth while a 23-year-old gay man testified he was pushed into a medical transition as a child and is now living with permanent damage. What do you think is going through this guy's mind? So this guy is very big on just transing every child in the Western world. Let's take a look.
Felt the way I did. When I was young, I was a feminine child, and I discovered trans influencers online. They said, change your body and your life gets better. Don't, and it gets worse. Or as my doctors told my mom, I would commit suicide. The medical and mental health providers didn't bother to ask why I felt the way I did. They poisoned my body with blockers and hormones, arresting my puberty and messing with my development. The result, I'm a 23-year-old gay man who's never had an orgasm and may never experience one. Let that sink in. I was rendered anorgasmic because once you say you could be trans, that's it. Full stop. No exploration as to why is allowed, even if you are a struggling kid. The former president of WPATH, Dr. Marcy Bowers, a California surgeon who had performed the surgery for Jazz Jennings at 17, admitted on video that puberty blockers followed by cross-sex hormones results in no orgasms and stunted genitals. SB 934 guarantees that more people will end up like me, the walking but wounded. I could have been spared all of this if any of my therapists would have explored why I felt dysphoric, but they never did. They only led me to hate my body more. The Supreme Court just ruled in a rare bipartisan decision that laws like this are unconstitutional viewpoint discrimination. This bill is an attempted workaround that will be used to silence therapists who could have helped me avoid the irreversible harms to my body and the loss of my sexual function, as is the same for many others. So today I ask you to extend some empathy to survivors like me and vote no for this bill. Thank you.
Right. So interesting, isn't it? So he's sat there. What's going through his head? Here's an actual human being in front of me condemning everything that I advocate for and work so hard for, and then want to continue doing to other human beings like this person who's been so horribly damaged by all the things that I work so hard to push and advocate for. What's going through his mind in that point? What's going through his mind there? It looks to me like it's like, how do I spin this? Definitely going to keep hurting people, right? So how do I spin this? It shows you like there's something very wrong, right? Something very, very wrong. Go back to the chat for a second. Is he so talking about the giant new acronym? Trudeau Survivor says MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA plus BS. It'll be twice that long in another year. There's probably like a lot of just like gay and lesbian people who are just living their lives and looking at this thinking, what the hell? What have we gotten ourselves in for here? Like, like we're not all of these letters. We're just like, I have to assume. Let's see. As he says, oh yeah, talking about the scientist who was canceled for wearing that shirt, that bowling shirt with cartoon images of women, which was created for him by a female friend, which, as I recall, is, he says, and I believe you're right. I remember that as well. Let's see. Not people, feminists. There is a difference, as he says. Spambot says, I wear shirts that make some people very angry. I tell them, good. Well, hopefully your Radio Baloney shirt, your Commie Gets Nothing shirt. Rosie says, what does it matter? More women, more men. What about character, strength, compassion, kindness, joy, support? Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you're talking about, I don't know, like consequential jobs, merit really is the most important thing, whether it's a man or a woman. Just merit. As he says, more women in the room making decisions. How about more women in the sewers and working on power lines at -40? They don't want those jobs. That's not the kind of jobs they want. That's not the equality that they want. Right? Strangely, it hasn't been a huge demand for equity in waste management. Weirdly, they want the status, is what it is, right? And they want a shortcut to the status. To summarize here, men are pure, women are pure, men are evil. Survivor says, how many women has she met? I mean, let's see, there's evil men and women, lots of them. Let's see. Rosie says, childish, short-sighted, rude, and ignorant. Yes. Let's see. As he says, the only reason men are successful is because they held all the women and minorities back. Well, that's what they tell themselves through all of human history. Like, unless you're like lords and ladies, like it was just a partnership where there was different jobs based on different physiology, and it was a total partnership where like nobody had any rights, right? So it's just so silly. All right. Izzy says, wonder what the penalty is for missing a letter or getting the wrong order. Sex change. That's what it is. Let's see. And Trudeau Survivor says, crazy to think those two lunatics are married to each other. Gavin Newsom and his wife. I don't think Gavin Newsom believes any of it, but his wife does. Let's see. Jack says, I feel like a donut. I need squashing. You're telling us too much. Let's see. Ew. All right. So back to Germany again. GenSpec posted this. So
you have these two.
So in Germany, so GenSpec posted this. Here's an interview with journalist Wesley Yang. The way Germany dealt with it, the way Germany dealt with their gender recognition law. Anyone who changes their gender marker to, well, it's crazy. Let's just let him hear it. Let's just let him say it. Let's let him tell us.
So you have these two different radically self-contradictory approaches to what is being taught to children and to what is being enshrined into law across different jurisdictions, where like it's immutable, therefore it has to be medicalized, right? Versus, right, like it can change, and I can be a man in the morning, I can be a woman in the evening, and of course the way Germany dealt with it with their gender recognition law was to say, hey, anybody can change their gender marker to any of an endless number of genders once a year into perpetuity, right? But also references to a prior gender identity can serve as the predicate for civil liability. So I can sue you for calling me the man that I claimed to be last year when my gender marker changed this year.
Yeah, it's total madness. It's this weird combination now of like authoritarianism in Germany with, you know, arresting people for criticizing politicians, denying people the ability to buy a home because they're critical of the government, trying to ban the AfD, the second most popular political party in Germany, but then also this weird gender weighing, weird woke stuff as well. It's a bizarre combination, but it is what we're seeing actually across the Western world, everywhere across the Western world. It's just weird. As of November 1st, 2024, Germany's Self-Determination Act, and I'm not going to try and pronounce that, allows individuals to change their legal gender entry and first name via a simple declaration at the Civil Registry Office. This law, which replaces the previous restrictive 1980 transsexuals law. Well, that's basically that law is basically a hate crime now. Allows for self-identification without requiring mandatory medical reports or court approval. The process is a simple personal declaration required at the registry office. So you just say, I am now, I don't know, I'm now non-binary, or now I'm goat gender or something. Notice period. A 3-month cooling off period is required between the notification and the change taking effect, in case you decide that you're not the thing that you're not. Let's see. Age requirements. Adults 18 plus can change their gender independently. Minors 14 to 17 require parental consent. Well, at least that's somewhat responsible. But family courts can intervene if parents refuse. So I'm guessing that happens all the time. For children under 14, parents must submit the declaration. So just like the barest bit of sanity. Restrictions. After a change, a new alteration cannot be made for 1 year. So you've got to be the thing that you claim to be now for at least a year. There's the restriction. Let's see. So so you can just year to year, you can be a different gender every year. You could be omnigender one, then you can be non-binary, and then you can be an agender. I mean, there's all the different things. There's I'm sure there's squirrel gender now as well. And just year, you could just be a different one every year if you like change. If you just like, shaking things up every year. But fortunately, you can still sue people after you've changed into the thing that your new thing is that doesn't exist. But you weren't that like last year, but somebody didn't hear about it. And then so in any case, so fortunately, everything is completely insane in Germany. Wow. I don't want to join the EU. I sure don't. I think that's a bad idea. I think these countries are all bunkers. Let's see. Woke Canada. What else we got in Woke Canada? We already saw that one. What do we got here? Oh, what's this? Oh, no, we already saw that. We don't need that. Oh, we're on the last tab. 2 hours and 17 minutes in. Wow. We're making good time tonight. All right. What are you guys talking about? Let's go back to the chat for another second. Hold on. Let's see. I'm not doing this donut and cucumber crushing talk. I'm just not doing it. Just not doing it. You degenerates. All right, let's go. I'm getting tired. It's getting late on a Friday night. I mean, not really that late, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Izzy says, once a year, how discriminating. I want to change on a whim. Like right now, I have a female penis. For the benefits of the channel, I'm forbidding it on this channel. It should be really once a month or just every day or anytime, right? And it should be legal, and you should be able to sue everybody if they get confused. As he says, goat gender. I haven't tried that one yet. Oh, I highly recommend it. Wonderful. Let's see, you just got to find yourself a nice field and, let what comes naturally happen. Well, the 1 year restriction is discrimination against the gender fluid community, Trudeau Survivor says. That is such an important point. Such an important point. Dame Pam says, an array of new gender studies. Sounds like you could make a lot more money for universities. There's people that their entire careers depend on people actually believing this shit is actually real. Rosie's got an idea for a raid later. We're not there yet. We're getting there. Let's go over all this garbage that you guys sent in. Hold on. Let's see. What do we got? It's not that much. Let's see. Some of this stuff I got to save for Monday. That one I got to save for Monday. Watching a liberal slowly. Oh God, Lord, my brain. What is wrong with my brain?
I ain't got a good brain.
Telling you, it's getting worse and worse. What's her name? Lionel Shriver, I think it is. Watching a liberal slowly wake up. Well, let's watch. It's a couple minutes.
I resisted for a long time this notion that Democrats were deliberately inviting masses of foreigners into the country because they wanted to grow little Democrats and create a one-party state. I've started to come around to that view. Before Trump effectively closed the southern border, I imagined a lot of it was incompetence and fecklessness. Now, there may be an element of that, but I think it was more intentional. The Biden administration opened that border on purpose and shipped people all over the country, wherever they wanted to go. They put illegal migrants with no ID onto commercial airplanes with regular passengers. who all have to have, you know, an impeccable national ID. I mean, it's just, there is design behind it. And I don't have any other theory aside from this pathological passion for minorities and a weird notion that people who are non-white are superior. I don't see any other reason for inviting so many people in, especially because, you know, on the one hand, the left talks about, oh, we need these people economically. You know, we have this aging age structure, and, you know, Social Security's imperiled, and Medicare costs too much, and we need young people to fill out the workforce. But then, you know, they support family reunification, which means these people can bring in their parents, right? I mean, so much for improving the age structure.
Well, it's no mystery at all why they're doing it. It's Democrats talk all the time, including Biden talked about how great it was the demographics were changing. And the reason is because it's an attempt to create a loyal, permanent underclass that will be dependent on the government to at least some extent, that will vote for Democrats and turn the United States into a one-party state, a permanent one-party state. That's the goal. That's the obvious reason, right? Like, I don't think it could be any more transparent, especially considering Democrats constantly talk about how great the changing demographics are. It's about power. It's about power. It's about creating, again, a permanent but very loyal underclass that will vote Democrat every election. And the second there's another Democrat president, they're going to do the same thing as Biden. Right? That was the first try. That was only the first tryout. That was only the first try at it, right? If Kamala had won, she would have poured probably twice as many people into the United States. I don't think they're making a secret about why they want to do it. I think it's fairly obvious. I don't know why she can't see that. Let's see. We already saw that. Tristan Hopper, one perk to being a young man in 2026, it's way easier to spot crazy women before you decide to date them. We millennials didn't have N95 masks, septum piercings, anti-Zionist regalia, or pronoun buttons. We just had to guess. So that is the thing. You don't have to guess anymore. You can just tell immediately, right? So I guess that is one benefit. Let's see. All right, somebody sent this in. Hippotalab. Broker Hippotechus. Okay. When I was 13 years old, I hoped that someday I'd have a girlfriend with big tits. When I was 16, I got a girlfriend with big tits, but there was no passion, so I decided I needed a passionate girl who was eager to live life. In college, I dated a passionate girl, but she was too emotional. Everything was an emergency. She was a drama queen, crying all the time and threatening to kill herself. I've been there before. So I decided I needed a girl with stability. When I was 25, I found a very stable girl, but she was boring. She was totally predictable and never got excited about anything. Life became so monotonous that I decided I needed a girl with some excitement. When I was 28, I found an exciting girl, but I couldn't keep up with her. She jumped from one thing to another nonstop, never sticking to anything. She did crazy, impulsive things and made me as miserable as she made me happy. At first, it was a lot of fun and full of energy, but aimless. So I decided to find a girl with real ambition. When I turned 30, I found a smart and ambitious girl who was grounded, so I married her. She was so ambitious that she divorced me and took everything that I owned. Now I'm older and wiser, and I'm looking for a girl with big tits. Yep. Feels real. What's this? This is a trans non-binary comedian and body positivity activist. Hold on. Only London posted this. This is a trans, non-binary comedian and body positivity activist attempting to crack jokes. Now, I will say before I put this on that good for her for getting up with a mic and doing that. That does take some guts. So I'll tell you what, you've got to give credit where it's due, right? And seems like a nice enough character, right? But let's watch this.
Okay. What do you call a fruit afraid of commitment?
What?
My ex! Another thing you should know is that because I was moving to Tucson, my primary relationship was going to become long distance. Now, the good news is that as of today, there's no more long distance. The bad news is there's also no more relationship. I know, very sad. It's okay though, he was kind of a weird guy. He had 9 pet snakes. 9! And I like to consider myself an understanding person, but that's like 6 snakes too many for one person to have. He also...
Now, also being self-depreciating, right? So it's not funny, unfortunately. It's sad, but I do, you know what? I got to give credit for getting up and trying, right? Especially looking like that.
Lives in a moldy trailer in his parents' driveway, and it's just like, come on, dude. You're 28, have some self-respect. Be like me and live inside your dad's house. Some of you might wonder how I'm a lesbian who's had a recent partner that uses he, him pronouns. Well, the truth is I've just never been that good at math. No, the actual truth is that he was trans mass. Okay, no cheering for the trans mass people, okay. Okay. Thank you, good for me, I know. Since my ex and I broke up, I lost like over 300 pounds. Who knew that all it took was cutting out a trans fat? Thank you.
So I give credit for getting up there and doing that, and actually seems like a nice enough person, right? I'm not going to roast this person. I'm not, you know. I think I'm going to give credit for having the guts to get up and do a comedy routine and bomb. Let's face it, bomb, right? And that's okay. That takes some courage. It seems nice enough and was self-depreciating. So I'm actually okay with this, which is why it pains me that there's a rule on this channel that I have to do this. There's a button I have to press on my soundboard. I don't want to do this. Do you think I want to do this? I don't want to do this. But I have to do it. It's just the internet's rules. I didn't want to do that. And I don't want to do this. But I did it because I have to. Because I have to. And there's Izzy says, this is sad, not funny. I know, it filled me with the same thing, which is why I didn't want to just lay in on it and just say, you know, I'll steelman it and just say, hey, credit for getting up, doing it, for seeming like a nice person. And, you know, it was self-depreciating humor. It wasn't going after anybody else. So, you know, I almost feel bad now for pressing the fart button, but it's the rules. I have to do it. Let's move on. That's it. Holy crap, 2.5 hours on a Friday night. Oh, well. That's the way it goes sometimes. What are you guys saying? Rosie says, I gotta say, I have not learned a thing from the human hydraulic press. Okay, that one wins chat of the evening. Let's see. Dame Pam says, no wonder our medical system is failing. Izzy says, yeah, more guts than I have. Yeah, let's give some credit. Does her pants make her look fat? That would be a good joke, True to Survivor. See, that would be a good joke for her to get up on stage and say, hold on. Where was it? or was it down the end? See, if she'd gotten up and said, hey, do these pants make my ass look fat? That would have brought down the house. So maybe that one gets the chat of the night. I'm not sure now. I've got some good ones to choose from. All right. What do you say, people? Should we do a raid? Should we call it 2.5 hours? Pretty short for a Friday night. But I don't know. What are you guys feeling like? Should we do a raid? Let me check and see if there's an ad that I want to do now. Let's see. I'm not doing an ad for 34 cents. No, I'm not lowering myself to that. All right. Well, should we do a raid? This is just for Air Rumble. It is not for Dame Pam, and she's trying to look sexy with tight clothes. I know. But I'm giving her credit, though. We're being kind. We're being empathetic and compassionate this evening. That's what we're doing. There was it was from Rosie. She had one. I can't remember what it was. I think she sent a link to something for a raid tonight. That's not it. Let's see. Rosie. It's on the loose. I think we're past it. Where was it? Where was that, Rosie? Where did you want to send the raid to? Raid average Joe Patriot. Okay. I think that was it. Average Joe. That's what Rosie wanted, right? All right, let's do that then. Let me just go and find that. And hold on a second. Rumble. Just want to make sure I've got it right. Let's see. Average Joe. Average Joe Patriot. Yeah, Average Joe Patriot. Okay, 1776. Is he live? He's live right now. Okay, let's send you guys over there. Copy. And let's do... This will be our last raid of the month, too. So this is the 5th one, so we don't need to do anymore. Unless you guys absolutely demand it after this. Let's see. Confirm raid. Let's go. Preparing for action. Full checks underway. Checking power levels. Ignition sequence. 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. All right. Thanks, everybody. If you're still here, thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on Sunday, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. Thanks, you guys. If you guys weren't here, it would be depressing for me. So thanks for showing up. See you next time, guys.